So welcome everyone to the second talk of this Encounter of the Heart retreat at Mountain Cloud. 1/22/21. Another palindrome. East Gate, West Gate, North Gate, South Gate. Enter here. Last week, Natalie Goldberg gave the Thursday night Dharma talk at Mountain Cloud. She read from her new book on haiku and took us into a world where language hones attention. Words distilled into art come to life. What is the way of haiku? She asked and answered. Bare attention, no distractions, pure awareness, noticing only what is in the moment, being connected to seasons, unconnected to self-clinging. And then, out of that, composing your experience in 3 lines that go beyond logic, that make the mind leap. In the center, she said, a taste of emptiness. A frog, a crow, a turnip. The ordinary, right in front of you, is the realm of awakening. She called this pure Zen, but not Zen. So, what is Zen? Today, I'd like to look at what's been called Zen's origin story, the scene of transmission from Shakyamuni Buddha to his first formal successor, Mahakashapa, or Kashyapa, as he's remembered in India. That moment where a space is opened and the mind leaps. In this case, in the center is a flower, a smile, a space beyond any logic. Boundless space, empty infinite, where the utterly ordinary is awakening. So, to my surprise, turning in the direction of this case, into the space rushed a story. It's a story about a so-called Dhamma battle, a Dharma combat, between the Tibetan Lama Kalu Rinpoche and a Korean Zen master, Songzan. This took place about 45 years ago. It was arranged by a Harvard professor. It was held in his home. So here's a short narrative. As the Zen and Tibetan traditions employ Dharma combat to test and hone one's understanding, the students of both masters arranged for them to debate each other. Songzan opened the debate, reaching into his gray robe and removing an orange. With classic Zen theatrics, he held the orange toward his opponent's face and yelled, "What is it?" His school was often called the Don't Know School. According to the story, the elderly Lama just continued to finger his prayer beads. Songzan tried again, holding out the orange and demanding to know, "What is it?" Now, Kalu Rinpoche was one of the great masters of mind. This is this narrative. When it came to matters of reality, he was no slouch. But while everyone waited for the old Lama to manifest unfettered mind, he remained silent. Finally, Kalu Rinpoche whispered to his translator. Then the translator said, and this is a paraphrase, Rinpoche wants to know what's the matter with this guy. Hasn't he ever seen an orange before? I really love it that that is what came to mind, turning to this amazing root case. Make the mind leap. In the end, it leaps into what is right here. Not the slightest gap. What is the way? The story of the transmission between Buddha and Kashyapa appears in the Gateless Gate, case 6, and also as case 1 in the transmission of light, with Shakyamuni Buddha's awakening counted as case 0. So I'm going to read the case from the Gateless Gate and then also draw on Keizan's Teisho, or his Dharma talk, that's recorded in his collection of succession stories, this really remarkable compendium called The Transmission of Light. So here is Gateless Gate, case 6. Buddha holds up a flower. Once in ancient times, when the world-honored one was at Mount Garduka, he held up a flower, twirled it, and showed it to the assemblage. At this, they all remained silent. Only the Venerable Kashyapa broke into a smile. The world-honored one said, I have the eye treasury of the true Dharma, the marvelous mind of nirvana, the true form of no form, the subtle gate of the Dharma. It does not depend on letters, being specially transmitted outside all teachings. Now I entrust Mahakashyapa with this. This is the scene of the Buddha's last teaching. According to the account, he has already eaten the spoiled pork that was given as an offering in his bowl. The toxins are in his system, and he knows he will die from this. A crowd of followers, a throng, is gathered on Vulture Peak, where Shakyamuni Buddha often preached. There's an expectant hush. Without a word, the Buddha sees a flower, maybe placed there in his honor, like Margie brings flowers for the altar at Mountain Cloud. Even sends a picture now. So amazing. Before every retreat, flowers on the altar. So the Buddha sees the flower, picks it up, turns it, and shows it to them. The assembly remains silent, waiting for a final teaching from their beloved teacher. Kashyapa, standing nearby, sees the flower and smiles. Apparently, his whole face lit up. There it is. A single flower. The whole sermon, the whole universe. Nothing outside it. Kashyapa is gone. Shakyamuni Buddha is gone. Just this flower. In the transmission of light, the case reads, once when the world honored one twirled a flower with his eyes twinkling, Kashyapa broke into a smile. Some translations say eyes blinking. So here's an excerpt from Master Kazan's Dharma talk. He wrote, well, he said to his monks, let's put aside for a while the holding up of the flower. You should clarify the blinking of the eyes. There is not a hair's breadth of difference between your ordinary lifting your eyebrows and blinking and Gautama's holding up of the flower, Buddha's holding up of the flower. There's not a hair's breadth of difference between your speaking and smiling and Mahakashyapa's breaking into a smile. However, if you do not clarify who it was who raised his eyebrows and blinked his eyes, then Shakyamuni and Mahakashyapa are in India, and skin, flesh, bones, and marrow are in your own mind. So many illusory flowers in your eyes. So much floating dust. He's speaking to his monks and to us. Not a hair's breadth of difference. Just one existence. Not the slightest gap. One body, one heart mind, showing itself right here. Kazan goes on. If you once thoroughly know the master, then Mahakashyapa will be able to move his toes in your sandals. Don't you know that Gautama completely vanished when he raised his eyebrows and blinked his eyes, and that Kashyapa was enlightened when he smiled? Isn't it then our own? The treasury of the eye of the true Dharma has been completely transmitted to itself. Therefore, it should not be called Kashyapa or Shakyamuni. There has never been anything given to another. There has never been anything received from another. This is called the true Dharma. One giving, receiving. One word. Completely transmitted to itself, in itself. This one boundlessness. vast, empty, nothing at all. Yet coming up right here in sound, chair, cushion, computer, each and every face on the screen, the true fact, the reality of who you truly are. This one true heart pouring itself out. There is no transmission other than this. Intimately, this. You, eyebrow to eyebrow, one recognition, one eternal moment. Really beyond words. And all of this tradition that we now receive and maintain, inherit and practice. Part of its inestimable beauty is that it began without a word. Light of the morning star, twirling of a flower, blinking of an eye, breaking into a smile. One silence, vivid, dynamic, awake, alive. In the Gateless Gate, Mumon adds an addendum, some words about how all of this is well beyond words. The Buddha says, I have the eye treasury of the true Dharma, the marvelous mind of nirvana, the true form of no form, the subtle gate of the Dharma. It does not depend on letters being specially transmitted outside all teachings. Now I entrust it to Mahakashapa. Already accomplished. Already so. Always already. These are expressions, each phrase, for Buddha nature, your own essential nature, your own self. They're most often attributed to Bodhidharma, who brought this practice from India to China and sat facing a wall for 9 years, imbuing the world with the wordless fact. His practice, the living reality, the true Dharma. If you're a student of Buddhism, you might know these as the 4 marks of Zen, attributed to Bodhidharma. A special transmission outside of scriptures, not relying on words or concepts, directly pointing to the human heart, seeing into one's own nature and awakening. This case Buddha holds up a flower, conveys it all. Actually, every koan does, though most make some use of words. Our sitting also conveys it. Our every gesture, even every thought. If only we could see it. I'm reminded of Rion Roshi's words from yesterday on practicing with Mu. He talked about how challenging it can be to see through the perceived boundary between self and other, to realize there is no separation, this unconditional oneness. And he said, trust is key to this practice. Entrust yourself to Mu, to this moment, to this inheritance. Trust that you are soaking in the very thing you seek. Even, he said, it has to be said, even the border, whatever boundary we think is there, even that is it. Kazan has something to say about this. His talk goes on. Monks, if you intimately study the way and investigate carefully, not only is Mahakashapa not extinct, but also Shakyamuni abides eternally. Therefore, it has been directly indicated and directly transmitted before you were ever born, and has filled and spread everywhere from antiquity to the present day. Monks do not yearn for the antiquity of 2,000 years ago. We now would say 2,500. If you simply earnestly practice the way, Kashyapa has not yet entered the sacred mountain. That's the story, but can appear in Japan. In other words, in Santa Fe, in Dallas, in Germany, in Switzerland, in Australia. He goes on, Shakyamuni's fleshly body will be warm even now, and Kashyapa's smile will be new again. It is warm. It is new. It's this. One last bit of Kazan. If you reach this state, then you will be a successor to Kashyapa, and Kashyapa will receive the Dharma from you. Not only does it come straight down to you from all the Buddhas, but you will be able to be the ancestral teacher of all Buddhas. Beginningless and endless, annihilating past, future, and present, here abides the entrusting of the treasury of the eye of the true Dharma. Here it abides. Here. Kazan's teaching is rich, dense, and may seem a little opaque. But the clarity of his eye rushes over us. It's your eye. Here it is. All of it. How can we realize it? Just rest in it, relish it, be free in it. Rumi said, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." See them. Wherever those barriers are, whatever the border, see it, and it really can't survive. It's really not there. But what about our pain, our doubt, our sense of limitation? Again, Rumi. I went inside my heart to see how it was. Something there makes me hear the whole world weeping. Beauty of a flower, breaking into a smile, tears of the whole world. Not the slightest gap. Here's Mumon's verse to the case. This is from the Gateless Gate. In handling a flower, the tail of the snake manifested itself. Kashyapa breaks into a smile. Nobody on earth or in heaven knows what to do. What is the tail of the snake? It's Shakyamuni Buddha. It's you. It's your essential nature that can blessedly gobble you up in a heartbeat. And then what? Breaking into a smile. No one on earth or in any realm knows what to do. The crowd is standing there, as Yamada Konroshi puts it, like idiots. But what could there possibly be to do? That smile is whole, including each one of us, including Mumon, including sun, moon, and stars, COVID, vaccine, uncertainty, whatever you put there. Thankfully, this has nothing to do with knowledge. It is so much more intimate. There's that line. Our inheritance, not knowing, is most intimate. Not knowing. No knowing. Somehow it seems fitting to close with a haiku. This one, it's one that Natalie Goldberg said she contemplated for a long, long time. The haiku is by Basho, and I think that this is her translation. At the ancient pond, a frog plunges into water. Wait, let me do that again. There are many translations, but I want you to hear this one. At the ancient pond, a frog plunges into the sound of water. At the ancient pond, a frog plunges into the sound of water. Suddenly comes to mind that first line in the Kannon Kanzeon Sutra in its boundless compassion translation. Absorbing world sounds awakens an awakened one right here. At the ancient pond, a frog plunges into the sound of water. Thank you for listening. Now let's plunge into practice.